Biology Career Insights podcast. Today, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Pankaj Kumar, who is a senior scientist and a protein engineer at a biotech firm based in the US. He was also a research associate professor at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and an assistant professor at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. Regarding education, Dr. Pankaj Kumar did his bachelor's from Delhi University and master's from CCS University in India, and then a PhD from IMTech, which is affiliated also by the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. And thereafter, he went to the US and is a successful scientist in the US. Thank you so much that you accepted our invite and gave us your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Manish. First of all, thank you so much for considering me for your interview at podcast. It's an opportunity to interact with you, and also an opportunity to tell a story about the journey of academic to professional journey as a scientist in US. That's a wonderful opportunity for me to speak up today with you.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. So, we will kind of start right away. So, because I think, our audience basically are the, students of biological sciences or PhDs, postdocs who are looking to kind of, build their career in biotech. And they are always inspired by, people who have kind of have been successful in this career. So perhaps it would be good if you can tell us about, why you thought of pursuing a career in science. And how did you get started in the field, first of all?
Wonderful, Manish. That's a great question. So this question should come very early in career, not before career. When we are in school, that time we should have a thought process upcoming. We always think about, hey, I want to be an engineer. I want to be a science doctor. Our parents inculcate those feelings in the early stage of career, schooling. Those thoughts come from parents. And then eventually we also evolve with those thinkings. It was in school time, basically, that I started thinking about, being a scientist, not a doctor or engineer. My parents are from a small village in Sonipat, Haryana, close to Delhi. They wanted me to be somebody like a doctor or engineer. But while, I used to participate in scientific exhibitions in school, and there I realized that I should be a scientist. I used to build a model of like small telescope or a Wi-Fi thing or a cigarette smoking model, cancer models. So from there, I started the thinking that I think I'm made for science. Amazing. And so I did not apply for engineering or medicine after 12th. Straightforwardly, I went to the DO college for BS microbiology. And then from there, onward journey kept on going on. But from very early, I had very clear goal that I have to be a scientist. I mean, my family wanted me to be IS officer also, that he applied for civil. I said, no, I'm not made for that. So the goal has to be very clear in life. What do you want to be? And fortunately, that goal was very clear to me.
That's amazing, because a lot of people, they have a lot of confusion. I mean, including me, sometimes I was not sure, what career to opt for. But somehow I knew that I love biology and I want to pursue a career in this. So, that is a very good point, that one should have that clarity, if they want to achieve success in life. That's great. So you mentioned you went to Delhi University, and then after, so you went to CCS University, I think, with this biotechnology entrance. And then I must tell to my audience that I met Pankaj at IMTech, when I was a trainee, and he was such a super helpful senior, so he inspired me as well. And that is why I thought to kind of, really kind of take this opportunity and to interview him. So thank you so much. And Pankaj, can you describe your current role as a scientist, and what are your primary responsibilities? Like what do you do as a scientist in your company?
Manish, currently I'm a senior scientist level 2 in the company, and my role is more like not only working on the bench but also as a leader. Basically, I'm running more like different projects. Most of them are partnership projects. So I'm working with different companies like Moderna or like Bristol Myers and different companies in the partnership projects. I'm leading those projects here. So we are working on developing different kind of anti-cancer therapeutics that are condition activating therapeutics. So I'm working on structure guided designing of those therapeutics there. And we have a team of junior scientists who we have a team there to work on those projects here. So beside, other than working on these projects, I'm also kind of managing a team of those scientists here. I can discuss more about what I am doing here if you want me, if you allow me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we wanted to understand how does your work like relate to the public, in a very simple term, like how does it impact the scientific community and the broader public, basically,
It does impact a lot, actually, because our work is basically directly to develop cancer drugs. And that is something in need of time, right? So our company is doing something very new, which is very innovative, is that usually the drugs, they target cancer, right? But other than cancer, they target healthy tissues too. That causes toxicity. So our company is leader in the field of designing conditionally activating antibodies and cytokines. Basically, they will be only active when they're in cancer. Otherwise, they won't be active.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something, and that requires a lot of heavy protein engineering. So basically, a protein engineer in that field. So I leverage my skills in the structural biology.
Mm-hmm.
So I use structural biology to design those molecules, and so that is very heavily important here because most of drugs in the market, if they're chemotherapy or immunotherapy. So our goal is right now on developing immunotherapy, conditionally activating immunotherapy, and so that is a need of time. So every company, whether it's Moderna or a BMS or any big company, everybody want to enter that area now.
Absolutely.
There's next generation immunotherapy coming up there.
Absolutely. So I mean, immuno-oncology is like, the hot field right now in all companies, right? Like there's a lot of, so you work with CAR cells as well, like, all this CAR T cell therapy and stuff, or?
No, that's not our goal. Our goal is mostly developing those antibodies, cytokines, proteins, and then it's more protein therapy basically.
Awesome.
But the principle is there is somewhat similar, where we are developing TCB, T cell bispecific or T cell engagers. Basically, they are like CAR T here. Here, what we are doing, we are designing those antibodies which can bind to T cells and cancer together. There is T cell TCB, and they engage them, and they also improve the anti-tumor response.
Amazing.
Like CAR T. Yeah.
Awesome. So I mean, basically, it's really impactful because ultimately the goal is to cure cancer, which is so amazing. And what are some key skills and qualities that are required to be successful as a scientist? And what can biology to biology student, what can you suggest if they want to be a scientist, what skills they must acquire during their studies or PhD?
Yeah, the very first thing has to be clear goal. When the scholar enters the PhD program, he has to be very clear actually to what area of the biology field he wants to go. Like for example, biology is so diverse, you know it very much. You're also a biologist. You are into different direction now.
Yeah.
So biology has so much directions, and all are interesting, all are very rewarding and fruitful. So at the level of PhD, when the scholar enters PhD, as you know better than me, I think, it's very like bioinformatics or chemical biology or structural biology, protein engineering. He has to be very clear. Like when I entered PhD program, I was very clear that I want to go to protein engineering very early. Actually, after my master's, when I was into a pre-PhD program in DU, South Campus, and then there I realized that I want to do protein engineering. That's my only goal. So with that, I went to touch an interview, and Dr. Karthikeyan was there, and then I told him I want to do protein engineering. So he was a crystallographer eventually, and then we eventually learned those skills there.
So one thing is clarity, and many students, including me, I must say, and I met some very successful scientists also, they will say that, they didn't have that clarity, kind of clarity that you had. And then with time, they developed interest in the field, and then, they acquired a lot of skills by, of course, hard work and stuff like that. So in that terms, like, if somebody wants to be, for example, a protein engineer, or somebody wants to work in a company, in a biotech company as a scientist, then what do you suggest? Perhaps they don't know, they lack the clarity, but if they get interested late in their career journey, for example, after PhD, they realize that, okay, but they want to be a scientist in, in a private company, and they don't want to pursue a career, say, in academia, then what do you suggest?
Absolutely fine. I mean, it happens. It's a normal thing that clarity comes later on, or the interest develops with time. It's a very normal thing. Natural, even to me also.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to be protein engineer, it's okay. I mean, after PhD, they can try to find a postdoc in a lab which has structural biology, work, and they can gain that experience in a lab there, where people are working on drug discovery or something, or crystallography or something, or NMR, or anything which relates to protein engineering, something. It's okay. You can have those learning there, and eventually they entry to industry after that. I mean, biology is so much
So vast, yeah.
Flexible also, that
Flexible also.
you can tweak yourself anytime actually to enter into the field.
And perhaps it would be, also useful for our audience to understand what is the difference in the research setup between academia and industry. Like, what do you see are the key differences?
That's a great question, Manish. Because I have been a assistant professor in academia. I had my own independent lab for 3-4 years, and also now a scientist in industry. I find big difference. Like in academia, it's more you are free to think.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one goal. Like you're working on particular one thing, and but you are fighting for the grants. You have to keep writing publications. There's a thought process keep running. To write publications, write grants. So your more inclination is towards writing grants and publications. But industry is goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
That lacks in academia, I think so. What I felt personally. In industry, it's very clear goal. You have to work on designing therapeutics to treat cancer or anything XYZ.
So the goals are pretty much defined, like,
Well-defined industry, well-defined. And it's very good because you have to deliver the drug. You have to design a drug, develop a drug for patients. So it's very, very clear time and goal-oriented actually there in the industry.
Awesome. And if I may ask, like, how do you stay up to date with the latest, say, scientific research and development advancements in your field? And what is the advice that you would like to give biology students who want to stay informed in this particular field?
I will advise always to read online research articles, update themselves with it's very, very important to keep updating yourself with the current knowledge developments.
Yeah. So, I mean, follow a particular topic on NCBI, subscribe to some journals, and, make a, say, reading habit of this scientific
reading habits. Even Google is also good. Google
Scholar.
You can keep exploring with interest, updates in that area always.
Mm-hmm. No, I do that. Like, I have a particular interest in, say, the aging field. Yeah. And I kind of keep a track on what are the latest developments happening in that particular field. So,
always. I do for X-ray also. For X-ray, they give some things in a crime. I always try to upgrade myself with those skills, actually, in reality also. Learn those skills with time.
So what are the most, say, exciting developments in your field right now? Perhaps that is also of interest to our audience. In your field, what are the recent exciting developments? As you were mentioning, this TCB is also kind of new thing. And apart from that, what you can think of,
immunotherapy, or especially conditionally, as I mentioned, conditionally activating immunotherapy. That is something new. And next 10 years, you will see in the market those better drugs. So immunotherapy is one of the, I think, with conditional activation immunotherapy is one of the next generation, which may replace CAR-T also, because CAR-T is more specific, can be more expensive. Immunotherapy is more cheaper because we purify proteins, and a lot of companies are coming into the direction. So with time, you will see that immunotherapy, condition activating, may be a drug in patients' hands and much low priced than all these CAR-T. I think that is the future. This is the future of the time.
And what are the current challenges of this field? Because, any drug development process has its own challenges, so as you said, it's like a conditional thing. So are there what are the main challenges,
Challenges are there, certainly, Manish. Like, for example, first of all, choosing a drug target, like the target of the cancer. Like the first thing is choosing the right target, what target you are choosing for the cancer. And the second is designing a conditional activating drug is itself a challenge. You have to design, you have to mask those drugs. So masking a cytokine or masking an antibody itself is a challenge. It is required heavy protein engineering actually.
So the protein engineering itself is a challenge, right? Like this
itself a challenge. Yes, itself a challenge. Yes, but it's doable. I mean, it needs a lot of effort actually, a lot of efforts.
And after you have engineered a particular, a particular protein, for example, then do you think like there are like side effects to this, or like, what are the, if things go wrong, what are the repercussions? Because you are like dealing with.
So far, yes, that's a great question, Manish. So far, current data says that these conditional activating drugs are much less toxic than the non-conditional drugs. Wow. They improve the toxicity. They improve the toxicity of the drug quite good. Multifold actually. Yeah, they're better. I think so.
Yeah, so that's great piece of information. So Pankaj, this is also like, as I said, this is for the students. So perhaps it's good to ask you the advice that you would like to give biology students who are like considering as a, say, being a scientist in a biotech firm as a career. And important thing that they should keep in mind if they want to kind of enter industry for being a scientist. Like what advice would you like to give?
When you enter industry also, this is also a very important point. The decision, what direction. For example, when I was planning to switch from academia to industry, I had to think 100 times because I was being interviewed, I was applying for different jobs. I was so adamant, to switch from industry to academia to industry. And there were a lot of opportunities like biotechnology, protein engineering. There are thousands of companies working on thousands of directions. So it was very critical for me to enter into that. In what direction now? Now it depends on opportunity. You may not get right opportunity, right area of interest you want to work on. So I could end up in a wrong direction in industry. I could end up doing ELISA-based assay development, or could be XYZ anything. But my heart was for protein engineering because I was doing immunotherapy from last 7-8 years as an academician, and my heart was in protein engineering. I wanted an opportunity where I can go. So I was getting opportunity in other directions too, but I was still holding them. Even sometimes I have to deny the offer. Absolutely. Or say reject me. I have to behave like that, please. My heart was not allowing me to go there, but there was opportunity. I was dying to go to industry, but eventually I gave myself more time rather than to be in hurry. I believed in myself. I thought that I would get something, and eventually a right opportunity clicked on my door.
No, I mean, you have been an inspiration because, I think a lot of people I see in, especially like in academia, right? Like they kind of struggle to get a tenure position, and then they kind of are seeing the industry doors. You are somebody who's already been successful. Like you had a assistant professor job already in an Indian, university, which is like, people die for government jobs, right? And then kind of, because you just enjoyed research and, it was like wherever you get opportunity for doing exciting research, you kind of decided to move to industry. Perhaps Jamia was not exciting enough and then you made this decision. So, I mean, one should be very flexible, right? Like it shouldn't be like, okay, I want to be, working in academia, or I want to work here and there, like wherever I think the interest lies, but many people, have this problem of like, if they are too long in academia, they kind of have difficulty going to the industry. And you are like one of the exceptions that, that I have seen. So perhaps, some tips that you can give to people who want a similar transition like you.
Absolutely. That's a very important question. And I see several people, they talk to me right now from academia also, professors. If Pankaj, how can we return back to US? And can we get a job in industry? They are in 50s now. So I had green card in US in 2017, and I could get an opportunity very early there in US. But I had I'm goal oriented. I say I am
Absolutely.
very clear from very early. I had very clear plans to return to India as a professor. So I returned to India. Finding a job was difficult in India, certainly. I had to go 3 times to give a job talk in India. It was so tough for me because I would travel between 17 and 3 times just to go give job interviews, socializing and giving. Nobody was there to help me, believe me. I found this job very fairly as an assistant professor in Jamia. But Jamia was not I won't say, it's a good place to work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could get a lot of grants. I had 4 grants there. I had 5 crore rupees grants there for 4 or 5 years. And we published very good. We published eLife only last 2 months back, my student Nazia. It was fantastic academic journey there. But, because I am more goal oriented. I want to work on a problem which helps directly the humanity. So I find that, and I was working there on drug discovery only, or developing ELISA, diagnostics for tuberculosis and NTMs, differentiation. I realized that this won't work. I will publish good papers, get grants, but this is not the thing I want in life. Life is only once. I want to do something best.
Absolutely.
Deliver something best. So there, after 3 years, I realized that I'm in a wrong track. Then I decided I should go back and use my time. And then I decided to come back. I had green card already, so I just again applied for I-45, and I came back. And I have my gurus in Johns Hopkins. They gave me platform to come back. It's very important to have guru in life, first of all.
By guru, you means like to have the right mentors, right?
Right mentors.
Yeah.
It's very important. It's very important to give a hand when you need it in life. And that guru I have at Johns Hopkins. And then I decided to switch to industry. So this clarity of decision and switch is very important at the right age. Like
absolutely.
If I were even late, if I were decided to switch after like 7 years, 8 years, I might not have come back. Because once you are into that field, you adjust, you fit in that field. I was about to fit in that field there in India also. Then you have family, kids, children grow, you go to school, and then things change a lot with time, mindset change.
Absolutely.
So I would say if you really want to switch to industries, do it early. Have some experience in industry, academia, but you do your best there. Don't feel like half-minded.
Exactly.
Do with full mind.
Whatever you do, just give your best. So
give your best, whatever it is. Don't be half-minded. Be full-minded.
Yeah.
You'll find directions.
Awesome. And finally, like, what are some resources or organizations that you would recommend for biology students who are looking for career guidance or support in the future? Because many, like you come from a small village, and that is such an inspiring journey. And in India, many students, they don't have exposure to things like, and now with YouTube, and one of the reasons to kind of do this podcast is also to help, say underprivileged students who are like in remote places, So can you suggest some, organizations or resources, that they can, that will be helpful for them, in their like career guidance and stuff?
Yes, Manish, I think it's very important that basically the directions, especially in the remote areas or in villages where whose parents are not that qualified to give the direction. There are so many like me so it's very important that you should have a clarity of what direction you have to go. And that's the foundation of the career, actually, that stage. Believe me, because I was in village, I had challenges, like going to college. Luckily, the DU is close by to us, so we could commute. There was no vehicle to commute also. So I remember in college, I used to travel like 7-8 miles by walking distance, walking from main highway to my village. There was no bus, there was no commute. And that was most of the time of my life, testing time of my life in college. And then I found a renting apartment near my college, and then I used to tease their students, get some money to pay for the fee, so that I'm not burdened on my parents. They were capable. We had good source of earning. We had farmhouses. My father was a government job, but I took challenge very early, and there was no. I applied for GRA also. I mean, after college, Google is the guru. So if
you would say like, students who want to like they should spend time on Google, or like there are some specific resource that you can recommend, like anything in particular, like, we together, Pankaj, we developed this biotech dhaba thing, right? Yeah. Like, long back to help students, we couldn't continue much there, But are there like any exciting resource? Like I see iBiology, and there's like, even our podcast will be a useful resource. But I think what you meant to say is that internet, look on the internet, look on the journals. Any
I think I think journals are there. There are a lot of career journals. Just Google. I don't follow any particular, but there are like Google has all the information. I would say rather than being just confined to one thing. Though there are a lot of career sites certainly, and for example, like what is the search? Like you look for universities, college admission. For example, I have seen students in college, and they want to know what college to apply in Europe or US or Australia or so forth. So that knowledge basically, and they're so aware now because Google is there.
Yeah, the internet has helped. YouTube these days, I mean, our time there was not such internet penetration, right? Yes. But with the internet penetration increasing, I think now students have access to good education and stuff like that, right? So like they can always access information.
Yes, I mean in college they have teachers. Find a good teacher because teacher also is very variable. Teacher has different qualities. So find a good teacher who is motivating. Talk to them. Get guidance from teachers. It's very important in college. Lecturers and professors. Talk to them. It's the most important thing is interactions. Absolutely. Students have to come out of their shell and talk to the professors. Talk about their plans, their journeys, what they want to do. That guidance is very important. A teacher can guide you. Even the seniors. The most important thing I would say for a student is to have a network with their seniors.
Absolutely.
The most important thing. Keep in touch find some seniors who are already, they're 4 or 5-year-old or 10-year-old seniors. Try to connect with them.
And developing relationships, so whenever you get an opportunity to develop relationship, for example, I was in IMTech, I could interact, you all were seniors, and whenever I needed your help, you were always there, So that kind of a thing also, I think, is advisable to students, kind of building relationships with people so that they can really be of help.
Exactly.
Any final words of advice to biology students? Because I see in India, biology students always say we have very less options. And I always think that, there's so many career options possible in biology. So, tell some inspiring words. So, your like based on your journey, what can you suggest, to biology students? What should they do if they are like, bothered about their career? What advice?
Manish, biology is so flexible. It can fit anybody. Mathematician, physician, chemist. Biology is so much flexible. Big world.
Absolutely. And so fascinating at the same time.
Yes. It's the earth itself.
Yeah.
Universe itself. So it's so fascinating that anybody who was interested in biology, understanding the future is biology. The current thing is biology. We are exploring biology, engineering, biology, developing all these. Everything is related to biology now. Chemical biology, physical biology.
And I always say that, if you're fascinated by knowledge, biology is the thing to study, because you will not feel like you are studying. You will feel like you are like doing an adventure, because there's so much. And as you rightly said, with the advent of technology, with the development of, tools and techniques, biology has become such a advanced science that, future is biology. And I believe that, totally, I believe that.
Absolutely. You can see Nobel Prize. Most of Nobel Prize, they are in biology.
Yeah. And also looking at, I am based in Germany, and I see most of the research funding is actually in biology, because, that's where because it has a huge impact, right, on society. With the epidemic that we saw, with Corona and everything, I think people now realize the importance of biology much more. So the world was fortunate we could come with vaccines so early, and it's all the power of biology. So I think the students don't have to be demotivated that, there's no career option, so there's plenty of options waiting for you all. I mean, just as I said, just keep good mentors and develop relationships. You can always reach out to Pankaj, or also reach out to me, Thank you so much, Pankaj. It was wonderful talking to you. We'll keep in touch always, and to the audience, we will keep coming with, fascinating guests on our platform. Hope to see you again in the next podcast. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.